0 ratings for a power wheelchair. 8 separate rules for hearing aids. Same veteran, same VA, same afternoon. At the desk today, Professor Marchetti, who studies how the VA decides which equipment a veteran actually qualifies for. And most veterans never ask for any of it. Not because they don't qualify. Because they think asking pokes the bear and drags their whole rating back under review. So here's what I'm holding back. There are 2 separate doors into this benefit, and only one of them ever looks at your rating. Park that.
Prosthetic and Sensory Aid Service. That's the actual name of the office, and it is not a limb shop. It's a supply service, and the catalog is enormous.
Look at what that word is doing. Prosthetics hides the whole catalog.
It hides it from the people who need it most. VA's own description calls that service the largest and most comprehensive provider of prosthetic devices and sensory aids in the world. Veterans read the word on the door and assume it isn't for them.
Wheelchairs, scooters, walkers, home oxygen, CPAP supplies. All of that sits under the same service, and not one of them is a limb.
And the whole distance between an enrolled veteran and that wheelchair is
1 appointment. Say that part louder.
1 appointment. A VA clinician examines you, decides you need the thing, and writes it. Braces and orthotics work the same way. So do therapeutic shoes. So do artificial limbs, when those are what you need.
So why does anyone think this is hard?
Because the word on the door tells them it isn't theirs. That's most of the barrier right there.
Watch what happens when you line the whole catalog up in one place. The split inside it does all the work. Wheelchair or scooter, CPAP supplies. Braces and orthotics. Therapeutic shoes. Home oxygen. Every one of those runs on one gate. You're enrolled and a VA clinician says you need it. Then hearing aids. Then eyeglasses. Different rulebook entirely.
That right-hand column is where people lose the benefit. The equipment side asks whether you need it. The sensory side asks who you are first.
And the equipment side lives in the benefits package rule, the one that says medically needed.
Medical Benefits Package, CHI, 38 CFR 17.38.
17.38, that's the one.
And nowhere in that standard does the word rating appear, not once.
Right, and its standard is 1 sentence long. A VA health professional decides the care is needed to promote, preserve, or restore your health. That's the gate. Enrolled, plus a clinician who says yes. One thing before we go further. va.professorerica.com has free guides and a checklist you can walk through tonight, including what to bring to that appointment. No sign up, no charge.
The supply portal is genuinely good, by the way. You can order CPAP supplies from your couch. It just requires you to already own the machine you're ordering supplies for.
Which is fine, until you assume the same logic runs the other door. It doesn't, and that assumption is why people with genuine hearing loss walk out with...
Real quick, because this next part matters to you. If any of this is helping, tap that like button, then hit subscribe and ring the bell so the next one finds you. Both are free and take about a second, but they tell the algorithm to show this to one more person who needs it.
Walk out with nothing. The hearing aid door checks names. The equipment door checks need.
There it is, the 2 doors I asked you to park. Only one of them ever checks your rating, and that's the small version. Wait until we get to the second door. It has 8 separate ways in.
Equipment first. 38 CFR 17.38. 1 standard. A VA health professional decides you need it. That's the whole test.
That's not what veterans are told. Everyone believes a rating comes first.
Told by who?
Every thread I've read. Show me where the rig says otherwise.
Well, the handbook's own words are needed to promote, preserve, or restore the health. No rating in that sentence. No claim. A clinician.
Fine, that's the worth it number then. 1 visit.
Explain it like I've never seen the form. What do I physically do?
You call your VA clinic. You ask for an evaluation. You name the problem. Pause right here and write that phrase down. I'll wait. And I'm leaning in for this next part because it flips.
Now the other door. Sensory aids. 38 CFR 17.149.
8 categories. Why 8? Who drew that line and when?
The statute lets the Secretary set guidelines. The rule spells out 8 before I read them. Of those 8, how many need a disability rating? Over or under 3?
Over. It has to be. This is the VA.
Under.
1. Exactly one of the 8 is the compensable service-connected category. Yeah, sit with that one.
So the other 7 are doors that never mention a rating.
I'm calling that test the doorman. It doesn't ask what you need. It asks who you are. And the doorman is strict. I mean, strict about who, not about how bad your hearing is.
Compensable service connected disability. Former prisoner of war. Purple Heart. Section 1151 benefits. Increased pension for aid and attendance, or housebound. Then the wide one, loss caused by a condition the VA already treats.
That's the one that changes the math. Or caused by the treatment itself. That's a door.
2 more, significant functional or cognitive impairment, or loss severe enough to block your own treatment. Now the trap. There's an extra hearing aid rule for a 0% service-connected hearing disability.
0% still gets aids?
For hearing, yes, with a qualifying loss. Eyeglasses get no such exception.
The chat just pushed up the one I keep dodging. Does any of this actually cost the veteran money, or is it covered once it's prescribed?
Which part though, Kim? The device or the visit? 2 different answers.
The device.
Okay. VA's own page says hearing aids, repairs, and future batteries come at no charge, as long as you keep your eligibility for care.
And the visit that prescribes it?
That's ordinary care. Copays there run on your priority group and rating, like any appointment.
8 categories. 1 needs a rating, so 7 of 8 don't. 7 out of 8. I batch cook exactly 5 identical meals to remove 1 decision. This is that. For paperwork.
1 decision made once. That's the shape of this whole benefit.
Take this composite example. Ray, 61, retired mechanic, enrolled in VA care, never rated. Hearing's been going for years. He assumed no rating meant no aids.
Wait, he was already in VA care?
That's the hinge. He was. Being in care is what put him near the door, and his loss traced back to a condition VA was already treating him for.
Category 6.
Category 6. He'd never heard of it.
That's the episode in one man. The rule was sitting there. Nobody handed it to him. And the part people miss is that being enrolled already puts you
In the clear.
no near the door, not through it. You still need the clinician to write it.
The clinician writes the prescription. That word is doing all the work here. That prescription. There's 1 line on it almost nobody reads, and it decides what actually shows up. Eight categories, 1 prescription. Professor Marchetti's still with us for this part, because the how is where people stall.
And it stalls in a really specific place. People go looking for a form. There isn't one. That's the whole shift.
No form, just an appointment.
Which is why so many veterans stay outside it. They're waiting for a filing step that was never part of this benefit.
So here's the whole path, end to end. You enroll in VA healthcare because every door in this episode opens from there. You call your clinic and ask for an evaluation, and you name the problem in plain words. The clinician examines you and documents that you need the item. That documentation becomes a prescription. And the prescription is what releases the equipment from the prosthetic and sensory aid service. No claim, no rating board, no hearing.
Say the last part again, because that's the one that surprises people.
Enroll in VA healthcare. Ask your clinic for an evaluation. The clinician documents the medical need. The prescription gets written, and the service issues the item.
5 steps. 1 of them is a phone call.
And that call is the step people skip. They wait to be offered something nobody offers.
And to borrow Erica's word, the doorman never appears on that path at all. Not once, unless you're asking for hearing aids or glasses.
That's the distinction worth carrying out of here. Equipment asks what your body needs. Sensory aids ask which category you fall into first.
Right. And once it's prescribed, the resupply gets genuinely easy.
2 clicks. Stop right there. This is my lane. Enrolled, registered at a medical center, and your provider prescribed the device. Then you order online. Hearing aid batteries, CPAP supplies, prosthetic socks, from your kitchen table.
So the resupply is the easy half.
It is. The hard half is knowing the door was ever open.
3 conditions. All 3 already true if you got the device, so nothing new to prove. Nothing. This is my gym membership all over again. Paid for it. Never once used the
Twice. You've told us that twice.
pool, and I stand by it.
And that, weirdly, is exactly it. You're already enrolled, the equipment door is already open, and the thing standing between you and a wheelchair is one clinician saying you need it. That's the honest version. I mean, honest for equipment. Hearing aids still run the 8-category test.
Which is why I keep saying the reading matters more than the filing, and if you sit with the regulation for one evening,
One evening, says the woman reading the whole shelf alphabetically, Kim.
for one evening it stops being law and starts being a menu. It's study cafes at 11 p.m. energy, except the reward is a wheelchair you didn't know you could have. A menu nobody hands you, obviously.
And I'd add the honest limit. Medically needed is a real standard, not a formality. A clinician can look at you and say no, and sometimes that is the correct answer.
Yeah, it isn't a vending machine.
So what does a veteran with no rating actually do tomorrow morning?
Kai, they stopped treating this as a benefits question. It's a clinical one, and it belongs to their care team.
Sure, but what do they say?
Write the problem down in one sentence. Take it to your next appointment and say, "This is limiting me, what can the VA issue for it?" That sentence starts the whole path, which raises the thing I actually want to leave people with. What are you already living around because you assumed it wasn't yours?
The shower chair, the walker in the hallway they bought themselves.
Both of those sit on the equipment side. Both could have been prescribed.
Bought the machine, then bought the supplies for the machine.
And that's what changes tonight. You now know the 2 doors, you know which one looks at a rating, and you know the sentence that opens the other one. Professor Marchetti, thank you. You've made the split between those 2 doors much harder to miss.
Seconded, you gave us the category 6 point, and that's the one I'll be quoting.
Glad to help. Ask your care team, not the internet.
If this changed what you thought the word prosthetics meant, hit like and subscribe. It's what keeps this series finding the veterans who need it. So here's what I'm leaving you with. What's the one piece of equipment you've been paying for yourself that the VA might have issued all along? Go ask the question. We'll be right here when you get the answer.